could possibly go wrong?
Nitro Rad. When it comes to platforming mascots, many characters have left a huge mark on history, becoming legends. Some characters, okay, well, you don't always have to be good to become legendary. In fact, sometimes to achieve legendary status, you have to be legendarily horrible. For those that don't know, Bubsy the Bobcat was a platforming mascot from the mid to late 90s who starred in 3 of the most notoriously horrible 2D platformer games ever made, 2 of which were multi-platform on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and the third one no one really knows about because it was exclusive to the Atari Jaguar of all things. The announcement of a brand new Bubsy game. This baffled everybody. I mean, it's incredibly rare an old game gets brought back for a new installment, and if that does happen, it's usually a company like Sony or Nintendo to bring them back. But of course, that only happens with cherished franchises that people have been dying to see return for decades. There's a couple I know I'd love to see return: Vex, Gex, Blink, Sphinx. Sphinx is getting a re-release though, that kicks ass. So why Bubsy? Nobody likes this series. In fact, the 4th installment, Bubsy 3D, is widely regarded as one of the worst games ever created by mankind. So why Bubsy? Of all the mascots, why this one? Nobody likes him, nobody likes this series. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you precisely what happened. Bubsy is one of those games that's so legendarily terrible it becomes a huge joke. Many YouTubers have talked about the series and awareness for it has been at an all-time high. People really grew to ironically love this character, who, need I remind you, is a character somehow even more annoying than Gex.
Coming soon, The Wizard of Oz 2000.
Great joke, Gex.
Akira to white courtesy phone. Akira to white courtesy phone.
What? But be careful what you accidentally and ironically ask for, because you might actually get it. Bubsy 2 Fur, a compilation of the first 2 horrible Bubsy games, was released on Steam to mostly positive reviews? Yeah, that's right. It doesn't matter how horrible something is. If there's a joke to it, people are gonna buy it and love it. It's all a big joke that only costs $5 after all, and that's a price people are willing to pay just to be able to see the word Bubsy in their Steam library. But what about the perspective of the people who actually published these games? Accolade. I mean, they're well aware these games are really, really bad. I mean, they have to be. Bubsy's been freaking legendary for it for almost 25 years, but if we're making money and people are actually buying it, does it even matter if the game's good or bad? I mean, nothing speaks louder than your wallet after all, and all of you guys ironically buying Bubsy on Steam, y'all just screamed at the top of your lungs, "We want Bubsy," and of course the company recognizes this and then boom! Bubsy, the Woolies Strike Back is something that actually exists, is real, and is for sale in 2017. I walked into a Walmart just by chance the day it came out, and I saw it on the shelf. It was the most surreal day of my entire life. Like, yeah, I knew the game was coming out, but to actually go and see it there, physically on the shelf, for sale. But that's all in the past now. The game's out, it's a platformer, and that means it's my job to review it. I am the platformer man after all, so let's hop in. From the get-go, I do have to give the artwork credit, I'm not gonna lie. It does look really good. The artists that worked on the 2D artwork did a really good job. I have to give credit where credit is due. Even his 3D model looks pretty good. Honestly, the whole presentation isn't half bad. The graphics are colorful, everything is crisp and, reasonably clean looking. We've got some great backgrounds and levels, a lot of set decoration, and decent composition. It's easy on the eyes at the very least. The title screen looks good too, albeit a tad static. Some more movement to it could have been nice. Maybe make the ball of yarn spin, I don't know. And the story is really simple. Bubsy's just chilling at home, and the Woolies, which are some frickin' aliens or whatever, smash into his house and steal his big golden ball of yarn. Bubsy's now gotta go and get it back. We've then got this Mario 3 style map screen. It's concise and to the point. Alright, not the most visually pleasing, but it's operable. Wow, look at that! The tutorial stage is on the map, but it does not make you play it. Wow, finally a game that doesn't force you to do a tutorial, especially when the gameplay is so simple and you can figure out how to play the game by pushing 3 or 4 buttons. Like the original Bubsy, you've got a standard jump and a glide move. The glide does work a little bit differently in this game though. It's still a separate button than the jump, but doing it in the middle of a jump will pop you up into a short double jump before entering the glide. This makes it just as useful as just a double jump. It's a really smooth and nice way of tweaking the glide move. In addition to that, there's a brand new Pounce Move that'll throw Bubsy forward in a slight upward arc. You can use this for breaking through parts of the environment and for taking out baddies. Upon contact with an enemy, you'll pop off of them, getting your double jump back so you can either pounce again or use the glide move out of it. I'm not gonna lie, it actually feels pretty good. Bubsy can also climb up these walls now, which does add a nice little vertical depth to every stage. Just like the first Bubsy game, Bubsy will die in just one hit, but unlike the first Bubsy, you're not gonna be dying every 2 freaking seconds, because firstly, you can collect a shield power-up in the form of a black t-shirt. It's identical to the shield in Sonic games. It'll absorb 1 hit before disappearing. There's also 1-up shirts that give you extra lives, but what's cool about these is that they're all normally shield shirts, but if you already have one, they become 1-up shirts. I do like this, it's cool. But other than that, the general game design is what's really gonna keep you from dying so much. I mean, the biggest issues with the first game were the cheap deaths and the horrible controls. The camera does not show enough, so you never see what's coming and you'll end up falling in pits and running into enemies all the time. The controls do not make things any better, good lord. I cannot reiterate to you how bad they are. The physics in this game are so broken. The game's momentum will make you go way too fast, way too quickly, but it also makes simple slow jumps feel like you're battling against an invisible force pushing you back. It doesn't make any freaking sense, and it makes the original game nearly impossible to play.
Kitty got wet.
These problems are surprisingly non-existent in the new game. The controls are tight and precise, the character physics are decent enough, and the camera will give you a much wider view of the stage so you won't experience any cheap deaths. My playthrough of Bubsy the Woolly Strike Back was a fairly smooth one. I cannot play the original for more than 5 minutes without getting irrationally angry, but this one did not frustrate me at all. The gameplay isn't half bad, I really have to admit. It is a little dry though, and that's because of the level design. It's not bad, it's fine, but it can be pretty repetitive. A lot of the levels don't really seem like they do much new or change things up too much. They will throw a new obstacle at you every now and then, like the shark things, which are a fun challenge to avoid, but overall, the game is really light on adding stuff like this. As you play the game, Bubsy's gonna spout a bunch of random one-liners, of course, usually something self-aware like how he loves this new move and why didn't he use it before, and
Bubsy makes so much sense. How did I not think of this before?
Yeah, I don't know. He just kind of rambles about a lot of really pointless stuff. Sometimes he says some dumb shit about being hungry and is it Taco Tuesday yet? I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke, but
Hunting really makes me hungry. Is it Taco Tuesday yet? I wonder if they take yarn balls.
I don't know why. Every time I hear him say that, I get really hungry and I really want tacos. Are they in cahoots with Taco Bell or something? I swear to God. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering just how talkative the Bobcat is in this game, and well, there's actually a slider that completely controls that. In increments of 5, you can adjust it from 0 to 100, and yes, if you put it to 0, he doesn't say anything. It was nice when Gex had the option, so I'm glad even Bubsy was able to take a couple of notes. I really like how every level of the slider has a different title. We've got Silent Bobcat, occasional one-liners, a bit chatty to lots of talking, and then... Okay, I really gotta hand it to them. That is really funny. Honestly, I kinda do prefer his new voice actor over the old ones. Not to say I don't like Lonnie Manella or Rob Paulsen. They're both legendary voice actors and have had brilliant careers, lending their talents to tons and tons of incredible characters, but I honestly just think the new voice is more fitting to Bubsy's character. I love Rob Paulsen, don't get me wrong, but the spitty and lispy voice he did?
Come on, snap to him, Mr. Basket Case.
I don't know, I just found that really grating and hard to listen to, and Lonnie's rendition in Bubsy 3D?
So, you wanna be a video game star?
What is it like to, what is it supposed to be, like a Boston accent or something? I don't know, I just didn't find that version very fitting. I really don't expect everyone to agree. I absolutely did not grow up with this character, so I didn't grow up hearing a voice match to him, but personally, I think the new voice is perfect. It's annoying as hell, yeah, but I think it perfectly encaptures Bubsy's character. He's this naive little bobcat who thinks he's the shit. He takes every chance he gets to boast about something cool he did or tell you about how awesome he is.
Not flying? Wait. Oh, yes, I am.
There's something kind of charming about this dumb little bobcat who thinks he's so cool when he clearly isn't at all. I honestly think the release window for Bubsy was to coincide with his character, sandwiched between Mario and Sonic, the two longest running and most legendary platforming mascots in history. And this little kid thinks, yeah, I'm cool enough to roll with these guys. No, Bubsy, no. You're not. I remember people were getting really mad when the Bubsy Twitter got verified. Like, come on, guys, give the Bobcat a break. Seriously, though, kudos to whoever's running that Twitter. They're really nailing the Bubsy character, but not only that, they did the research and really figured out exactly what they needed to get verified, and they worked really hard to make that happen, gaining enough followers and using Bubsy's absurdness to really get enough reach. Love or hate Bubsy, you gotta hand it to the guy who's running that Twitter. Seriously, dude, you did a great job on what you did there. Anyway, back to the game. Like many platformers, there's tons of stuff to collect. The main goal is simply to reach the end of the stage, but there's tons of yarn balls you can collect that'll add to your score. There's 5 keys hidden in each stage too that'll open a vault full of these yarn balls where you can really rack up those points. The game gives you a little check mark, an achievement or whatever, for beating a level without dying, and another one for opening the vault, but there isn't really much point in actually collecting all of the yarn balls, other than getting a high score, but who cares about that in this day and age? And that's a bit of a shame because there's a lot to explore. You can just breeze through every level, but honestly it's a lot more fun looking for all of the nooks and crannies and taking on the obstacles within them, and then, you know, trying to get everything in the level. But without any incentive to do so, like an achievement or a trophy or a check mark, anything, I just quickly stopped caring about it and started just focusing on getting to the end. The last major thing I have to talk about are the boss fights, and they're surprisingly solid. Well-telegraphed attacks that are challenging but fun to dodge. It's probably the most interesting thing about this game. Overall, I really have to admit it's not that bad a game. In fact, I would even go as far as saying that I somewhat enjoyed playing it. It's not a great game by any means. The controls are fine, and the gameplay is somewhat fun, but the level design can be pretty mediocre and the gameplay is a little bit repetitive. Though while I did somewhat enjoy this game, I cannot recommend you purchase it at the price that they're asking for, and the reason for that is mainly because of the length. I beat this game in an hour and a half. I'm not joking, it's really that short, and they're asking for $30 American for the PS4 version. That's pretty freaking steep for the amount of content you're really getting here, but hey, at least it's not horrible, right? So if you can find it at a discount or in a bargain bin or something, by all means. At that point, I can see it being a harmless investment and it could make for a fun little afternoon. But if anything, see it as a step forward. I mean, Bubsy's back, and that means they might even just do yet another game, add some more interesting level design, get some more meat in the sequel, and we might just see Bubsy of all characters on the right track. And when you're notorious for starring in some of the worst games ever made, that's a pretty big deal. You know, come to think of it, I've actually never played Bubsy 3D. I've only ever played the 2D games. And I am that guy who reviews 3D platformer games, after all. What could possibly go wrong?